Next up, we're going to do some computation to map the sampled colors to the surface panels. And we're going to do that by first testing the original list and the transposed list, just really checking to see which one works better. So we'll kind of first set up the original list and watch that, then we'll transpose the list and watch that. Transposing will just shift the row and column orientation. That might map out better. It just depends on just really how the image data is sampled versus how the panels actually got constructed when you panelize the surface. Then we'll offer users the ability to choose which mapping works better. And we'll do that using kind of a special kind of combination nodes. We're going to create a list of the two different mappings, the two different lists, the original data structure and the transposed data structure. We'll offer people a code block that makes it easy to enter which list they want to use. Then we'll say list get item at index, and that'll actually choose which of the different data streams will get passed forward. Then we'll pass those over to an override function. We'll override the panel display colors by saying let's flatten that list and then element override color in view. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at, well, first let's think about the next steps in here. After we do that, we'll compute the variations to really allow some different image mapping options. We'll allow you to kind of like flip things vertically top to bottom by basically just reversing, okay, the list. Okay, so if you reverse the rows in the list, that is the bottom row becomes the top row and the top row becomes the bottom row, that flips things vertically. Okay, we can also think about basically reversing the columns in the list if we want to flip things horizontally. That'll take a little more work because we'll have to take our row and column structure, transpose it so that the columns are on the outside of the rows, reverse it, that'll reverse the columns, then retranspose it to put it back into the proper order. Okay, and that combination of steps will basically let us take the list in row and column order and flip the columns around. Okay, and if we did both, if we wanted to reverse the sample image both ways, both flipping it vertically and horizontally, we'd reverse it, transpose it, reverse it, and transpose it. Okay, that just basically is a lot of manipulation to kind of move things around to get all the data in the right locations so it can map out properly. Then after we kind of come up with all those variations, again, we'd like to be able to offer people the option to choose which mapping variation they'd like to use. Again, we'll put all those different options together as lists in a list create. We'll have a code block where you can choose which one of the lists you want to use and then say list get item at index. Okay, now we can go ahead and take a look at how that's all implemented. So here's our basic, panelized surface over there. We want to think about just basically taking that color data out and mapping it and trying it a couple different ways. So the idea is, here's all our color data. This is our sampled color data right there. And we can basically just kind of watch it. Okay, that's just basically going to pass through the data the way it is originally. Okay, I can transpose it and watch that. Okay, that just reverses the columns and the rows. So what's happening is what had been a row is now a column and vice versa. It just kind of just takes the points and organizes them in column order as opposed to row order. Okay, once we have that, we can now start thinking about doing a nice list create to bring that all together. So I can say, let's list create first the untransposed list. Then I'll go through and add in the transposed list. So now I have two different lists, and the idea is we need to choose one of those different lists to pass on through. So to do that, I'm going to say, let's take that list of these two different lists, and we're going to let you choose which one you want. If you choose the 0th item, that gets the original stream. If you choose 1, you get the transposed stream. Okay, so let's try it first with just the original stream. Okay, now once we have that information, if we want to actually see it in action, what we need to do is go through and apply it to the panels. So let me find that node. It's just a little bit further over here. Looks like it's right about down in there. Let me zoom on in and see. There it is. Override the panel display with the colors. we have the elements, we have the colors, and what I want to do is basically plug a list in over here. So let's go ahead and kind of give it the list. So what I'm going to do is take the result of this and bring it in over here as the list. So I've taken whatever list gets passed through, and I'm bringing it over right down there as the list. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So, this is the untransposed list. You can sort of see that doesn't look like the kind of straight bars the way I might want to kind of see them. It doesn't look like the original image very much. So I'm going to try the transposed list instead. So again, to do that, I'm just going to put in value number 1 here. Okay, and that's a little bit better. That's kind of closer to my sample image. And that's why I like to work with a sample image first, because it's easier to kind of spot really, how things need to be organized. Super. So now that we have the basic original list together, let's go through and kind of think about different things we can do to work with it. If we want to go through and flip the rows vertically, what we're going to do is take this list over here, whatever the result is over here, it's all rows and columns. And if I take that list and I just say reverse, what that's going to do is, again, flip the rows. So with the outer list being rows, the rows will go top to, instead of going bottom to top, they'll go top to bottom. That'll flip the image vertically. Okay, let's see if you can get a sense of that. So the first row now in the list starts with the 222 on the reds. Prior, it was the last row. So we just flip those 2 rows around. Okay, and that'll flip the image vertically. Okay, let's go ahead and kind of think about some of the other ones. If we want to, again, flip it horizontally, what we have to do is just kind of, just change the direction we're operating on by doing the transpose. Then I can reverse the columns, then transpose it back, and then we'll actually have things reorganized the way we need them. Okay, so that'll go through, and again, I like to keep little watch functions there so we can kind of keep track of what's going on. If I want to do it both ways, that's not too bad either. What I can do is basically take that data. I'm going to transpose it, reverse it, transpose it again, and reverse it, transpose it, reverse it, transpose it. Pardon me, I missed one in there. That'll basically have the effect of flipping it both ways. So now I have all these different streams, and you might wonder, well, what do I want to pass on through? The original data as mapped, the flipped vertically, the flipped horizontally, or the flipped both ways. So I'm going to basically bring all 4 of those streams together, and then basically give you the option of basically entering what do you want, whether you want it the original, the flip vertical, horizontal, or both, by typing in a number there. So super. Now what we'll do is just take whatever the result of this list is, kind of pop it over there, and now, depending on what we select, let's see what's going on over here. Oh, I don't have a number plugged in. So this would be the original mapping. Can't see much different there. Let's go ahead and try flipping it vertically. Okay, try that again. 0. That's the original. Okay, you can sort of see the bright corners over here. Now the red bright corners over here, so it flipped top to bottom. Okay, let's try it the other way. Let's try flipping it horizontally. that moved the red bright corner from over here to over here. And finally, if I flipped it both ways, the red bright corner moved in there. Super. So now we have the option of basically placing these in whichever way we want to. So users can choose really what transformation they want and map it onto that. So again, go through and get this working right before you sort of ratchet up the pixelization, because that'll just take more time. Okay, next up, we'll take a look at how we can actually pull some values out of these different colors after we've mapped them, and kind of think about either embossing or debossing the surface a little bit by just changing the panel height parameters.